What becomes 10x creepier at night? Old man in a lawn chair in the front yard not doing anything. I'm just nipping on whiskey. This was my neighbor and it only scared me once till I figured he just liked being outdoors. Lawn chair, driveway, dog sleeping at his feet. It's midnight in summer and he's out there under the moon surrounded by empty beer cans. Then a snowy winter morning, school's cancelled, but he's sitting in the driveway in his lawn chair in a big puffy jacket, scarf hat and gloves, literally getting covered in snow. His dog is at his feet, laying on his back, also getting snowed on. I wave like Forrest Gump because I'm out running and neither of us are sane. He waved, then shrugged in a sort of fuck it, right? way that made me crack up. R.I.P. dude, maybe you knew the secret to a good life. I work at 4 AM, so when I walk to my car it's still night basically. Once in a while a person is walking down the sidewalk, alone, and I can only see them under the street lights. 1000x creepier at night. That's just me getting a slushy while working on a project due the next day. I ran into this a couple nights ago when I was stargazing while sitting on the back of my car. I hear footsteps and the guy had a flashlight. I slowly started to make my way to the front door before I realized it was just a neighbor I knew walking his dog. In pitch darkness. Whatever you're into, I guess, but I nearly had a heart attack. The pile of clothes on my chair exists menacingly. I see a little silhouette of a man. Phone calls. Someone knocking or ringing the doorbell. Walked through my town center at like 1 AM one night. No one is around. Every single phone box that is dotted around is ringing. I didn't dare answer one in case I accidentally started one of those crazy minigames on GTA. Edit, a lot of people asking where on earth has phone boxes. When I was at uni, at least 2015 at the time, there were several groups of 4 phone boxes dotted along Luton town centre. Although to be honest, BT phone boxes are pretty common all over the UK and are mostly frequented by homeless people trying to get hold of universal credit. I live alone and someone knocked on my door last night at 2:30 AM. I was in the main living area, also where the front door is, and I did not move or make a sound for a full hour. Nope. A parked car with someone in it. And you can only see the silhouette. 9/10 times it's just dudes waiting for their dealer. Cornfields. Feels like I'm being stalked. I went to a very rural high school and often I worked stay past dark for rehearsal. I was in theater. Whenever the corn was high we had a rule, do not ever stop, and if you hit something vaguely humanoid, keep driving before it gets you. A call from your family. 10x doesn't cover that. It's never good news when family calls in the middle of the night. When I worked night shift, I'd get home at 8 AM then crash into bed. All my family knew my schedule. We'd call each other at dinner time before I headed to work, or while I was headed home from work and they were on their way in. My mom, however, would call probably once a month or so around noon or 1, then get huffy with, "Are you seriously still asleep? Are you going to sleep all day?" "Yes mom, that's the point, I work all night, I've had this same schedule for 2 years," I answered because I assumed it was an emergency. Because I know the one time I don't, something will actually be wrong. So I started calling her at midnight just to chat. She'd wake up in a panic thinking something was horribly wrong, and I just, "Are you already in bed? It's still early. Did you sleep all afternoon? Lazy. Oh, you don't like being woken up? Sounds familiar." Children's laughter. Hearing my 1.5-year-old daughter laughing in her sleep through the monitor in the middle of the night. One time I went into my daughter's room in the morning, it was still dark, and she was just standing in the middle of the room, hair hanging in her face, then she started cackling. Thanks for the heart attack, 6-year-old. Mirrors. I legitimately cannot look at myself in the dark. I need to turn a light on or my heartbeat will genuinely start to quicken. ETA, guys, my night vision's pretty decent. I obviously cannot see in the pitch dark, but I can see enough to understand that there's a freaky looking blob where I should be. Here's a terrible idea for you. Go into the bathroom, light a candle, then put it on the floor so it's barely lighting the room, turn out the light, then stare at the bathroom mirror for a while. Eventually, you will still be staring at you, but so will something else that's slightly off. It's unsettling. This day, after a few days of zero sleep, I saw my cat sitting on top of my dresser at about 4 in the morning. I couldn't figure out why she wouldn't move, so I went up to her and petted her for a solid minute until my cat walked into my room. I had been petting my folded clothes. Love insomnia. Cat was like, okay, I'm that easy replaceable? This reminds me of something I do very often. While lying in bed, I often vigorously readjust, lifting my leg and bringing it down with a fair bit of force. I have this soft blanket that I put on the end of my bed that I always end up kicking, which without fail makes me jump, because I think I just kicked my dog. The sound of digging outside. I used to be terrified as a kid BC. I would hear wood chopping sounds on especially quiet nights. One night I made my pops come in and sit with me to listen. Well, it was just my shitty wall clock ticking away. The sudden absence of any noise. The air conditioner shuts off, it's suddenly, absolutely quiet, and you wonder what's creeping up on you that's making no noise whatsoever. You try to listen in. It seems the silence itself is creeping closer and closer, even the ringing in your ears ceases. Then, you see it. Nobody hears your scream. Good thing my tinnitus never leaves me alone and doesn't allow me to get too attentive of my surroundings. The chair in your room or stand-up eater. I have a really old rocking chair I keep in my basement. It's dark as fuck down there too. I know I'm going to go down there at night at some point and see it faintly rocking on its own. It's a family heirloom, so I feel like I have to keep it. I definitely don't want that fucking thing upstairs though. Laundry chair, 2. Bodies of water. Bodies in water. In my house the heat turns on in the middle of the night and makes a ticking sound in the walls. So if it's midnight I'll wake up to hear ticking, then I'd feel heat, then I see my dog on my bed, black lab, and I scream. Happened last night. Long. My fam has the loudest heater downstairs. It clicks like a gun and then goes fudge or. The dogs flinch and jump every time. My friend has a very big Doberman, and while she's quite large, she can climb quietly onto the bed. Once she got lonely and decided to climb into the bed where I was sleeping. When she lays down sometimes she'll let out a really loud haroom, so I woke up to a scary roar and a heavy weight pressing itself onto me. I was terrified for a moment, but then I felt bad for screaming and scaring her. Someone humming a slow melody. Imagine being up on Reddit at 4 AM while in bed and you suddenly hear someone quietly humming. This is amplified tenfolds if you live alone. Your room is silent save the fan that rumbles by your bed. You're breathing, steady as a drum with sheep counts in your head. But then you wake with eyes wide, an inky fear burns through. You hear a ghostly voice sing Baby Shark doo 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 doo. Out of the corner of your eye you spot him. Shia LaBeouf. My kids. The little monsters like to run around the house or stealthily crawl into my room to scare me, ask for a drink. Beer? This. And by default, sick kids. When my youngest was about 2, I woke up feeling watched one night and smelled something horrible, only to find her face like an inch from mine going mom mom. I threw up. Joy. There's something about flying a kite at night that's so unwholesome. My dad once flew a kite off the garage roof at night. He tied a mini torch to it and we could hear the neighbors talking about UFOs and arguing over who to call about it. Hello mother dear. Your feet dangling off the bed. Being almost 6 feet 5 inches, it is always scary, every night, and there's nothing I can do, but let them toes get nibbled by the crackhead under the bed. Just scooched them up under the covers. Thanks for the reminder. An ice cream truck slowly driving through the neighborhood playing the Pop Goes the Weasel melody. I had a nightmare just like this. In the dream I lived in a huge city, but for some reason, everyone was gone. Everything was awash in that coppery artificial lotus, as an ice cream truck slowly began going down the street with that song playing. I was on the top floor of the building though, so I didn't care. But suddenly I flew down hundreds of floors while still in my bed, to the very bottom floor, right by the entrance to the building. When the melody was right before the pop part, the truck stopped. Then I heard someone whisper "pop" in my ear. Unfortunately for that ice cream man, I have a trick of turning any nightmare into a sexy dream at any point. What great times we had. Ice cream trucks in general are creepier at night. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.